Listen, I have nothing but the utmost respect for the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series S. I own all three. I own a PlayStation 4 Pro. I own a Xbox One X. I own a Xbox One S. I've owned these consoles as they come out throughout history. Like ever since I was at the age to buy my own consoles, I was buying them. I think the Dreamcast might have been one of the first consoles that I bought. It's hard remembering back that far. I remember buying the Dreamcast, but I can't. I also think that I bought a Nintendo 64, might have been before the Dreamcast. And the reason why I say that is we had one in the house at the time. My brother, I think, had it, but I bought my own. It was probably around the time that Star Wars Episode 1 came out because it was a Star Wars pod racing one. And I was, busy with school and I was work and this kind of stuff. And I had that, and then I got a Dreamcast as well. I used to play Madden all the time on my Nintendo 64. I loved it. That's basically if I wasn't at work or school, I was playing Madden, and that was before playing on the internet. Then the Dreamcast came out, and I got into actual online competitive gameplay with that game, and, my life changed forever from that point on. But with that being said, when it comes to the consoles, the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5, these consoles are very similar. But one of the things that I've noticed lately on social media, oddly enough, right, is that we're not seeing a lot of PlayStation fans post the comparison videos anymore or the comparison screenshots. We used to see these things all the time, right? We would see these screenshots where they would take one where the PlayStation 5 had a 2 second FPS advantage for a millisecond, and it'd be like, "Win, Sony wins, woo, yeah, yeah, Sony, yeah," not realizing that a lot of us, myself included, would actually watch the videos in full, and they'd be pretty similar. Xbox would have advantages otherwhere, but now we're starting to see Xbox actually take a lot more advantages over PlayStation, and I don't expect that to change very much when it comes to the multiplats. I think we'll continue to see multiplats from most big companies sort of have the edge on Xbox as opposed to PlayStation. I would still expect probably some stuff that like JRPGs and stuff that come out on both. I would expect them to have kind of an advantage on PlayStation being more the lead platform because that's where they're going to sell the most. Like in Japan and things like that. But I think especially stuff when we're going to like Call of Duty and Hogwarts Legacy, even though that's a marketed game from Sony, I think that's going to run better on Xbox. That's certainly where I'm going to buy it. And this particular instance with this game, it's a big win for Microsoft. Like, wow, I'm surprised that this is such a big difference between Xbox and PlayStation right here. But then at the end of the day, we are probably starting to see more and more of of instances of developers getting a better grasp of what Microsoft had in mind with the Xbox Series X to begin with. So let's get into this video. It's really kind of showcasing how far Microsoft has come. I can't wait to get into it. Let's get started. At the end of the day, I think Microsoft and Sony did the best that they could with what they had available at the time. Now, clearly, Microsoft is kind of maybe jumping a little bit ahead with the Xbox Series X, which is actually pretty much what most of us kind of looked at a video game. Now, before the Xbox Series X launched, we did see a very interesting sort of game come out called Bright Memory Infinite. And this game actually, it was very interesting because it looked very good. Obviously, it's an indie game. Originally, it was being made by a single person. And, I actually played what you're seeing right here is a bit of the smaller piece of the game that came out around not too long after the launch of the Xbox Series X, maybe at launch. I think it was like a $6 or $8 for like this part. It was maybe an hour or so long. But you kind of get a taste of what it's for. So if you didn't know, PS5 has the worst performance in this. Series X running at 120 frames per second. PS5 hovers around 85 to 100 frames. Xbox also has higher resolution in 120 frames mode at 1440p versus 1152p for PS5. you know, listen, I don't think that this game is amazing or anything like that. I think it looks pretty good, but I think that it's going to really take a certain type of gamer to really enjoy this. But yeah, anyway, like the game is incredible to look at. All right, I'm just being honest about that. If you haven't seen the game, it is very cool to look at. I think that it absolutely looks like an incredible game that's taken very much a full advantage of what Xbox has to offer, right? So the funny thing is here, if you see the what's interesting even more so than what the Series X is doing, the Xbox Series S is doing 1440p 60 frames with dynamic resolution common at 1296, so almost 1300p. So this game, while it looks tremendous, you look at it and you see that, yeah, it's actually doing pretty good in and of itself. While PS5, the performance drops down to 1152 resolution at 120 frames, where it sticks to 1440p on Xbox Series X, because again, the console is just that much more powerful. So yeah, very interesting to say the least. And I do have to say that I feel like this is pretty awesome to see, right? Look, gamers are always going to kind of have a good idea of what they like, and you know, when we have these new pieces of hardware, it's fun to see that the hardware is taking full advantage of that. Now, even I admit that the Xbox Series X hasn't done a fantastic job of, you know, fully taking advantage of the hardware, and that's partly in fact due to that Microsoft has done a really piss poor job of, you know, getting their console out, with any games, you know, and that is something that I feel like should definitely be looked at and taken into consideration. I mean, obviously, you know, clearly Microsoft knows what they're doing when it comes to the hardware stuff, but I think a lot of us are wondering about the software, when that's going to come. Listen, I honestly couldn't tell you. What I can tell you is that you know, at the end of the day, Microsoft has a good piece of hardware, and when you see pieces of software like this to take full advantage of it, I kind of suggest maybe, you know, play it or whatever, try it out for yourself. But we're starting to see this gap widen quite a bit, and I think that it's something that we're going to probably continue to see as time evolves. And I started to notice this, to be honest with you, and it sounds silly, but Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga was a huge advantage for the Xbox Series X over PS5, like a massive advantage. And you know, we've been seeing that here and there, where it's not just been, you know, a couple frames or a little bit of resolution. It's been a significant bump and a significant advantage for Microsoft's console. So yeah, we keep seeing that kind of stuff pop up, and I would suspect that we're going to keep seeing more and more of this in the future. You know, Sony and Microsoft have consoles that are both very powerful, but clearly the Xbox Series X is in a league of its own, and we're starting to see that come out even more. You know, just awesome to see. With that being said, I will link this, and you guys can check it out and let me know what you think. You know, I think it's awesome. We're starting to see the full fruits of the labors of the Xbox. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. Thanks for watching. Crap Gamer out.